Folks, this is Brian. Hey, I'm just going to start up another channel. Hey, this is, or not channel, another playlist. My fourth now. And I just do that because I like keep organized, I guess, maybe. I don't know. But my first playlist is my Princes of Apocalypse campaign, which I finally got back going again, so it should be, we'll be playing this next Saturday, so we'll have another one out. But my son, on occasion, really wants to play Dungeons and Dragons. And while we can play solo, it's not nearly as fun as having other players. And so he asked me if Grant wanted to play. This is Friday night after he got back from school, after I got back from work, and I'm tired. And but there are some of his friends that we held a This is Dungeons and Dragons night at his youth group at church. And there were two of us that ran sessions, and they were just little snippets out of Princes of the Apocalypse. And I ran one for a table, and all the kids were great kids. They were involved, and they played and had a good time. But one in particular, Sam, really seemed interested. I mean, he looked like he really dug it. And so I've been trying to convince Aiden to say, "Hey, Sam, come over and play Dungeons and Dragons with us." But apparently he had something going on that night, and there are a couple other young men in his group that we've played with before, both of which are interested. One of which was really interested, but for some reason he didn't want to invite them either. So it was just the two of them, him and Grant. And I've been playing it because I've been practicing with my tweaks for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition using the Temple of Elemental Evil old school module. Now, I did find a fellow online who has done a 5th edition version, which I got a copy of. I've got a copy of the 4th edition version of Hamlet. I've got snippets and downloads from a couple of different folks who have played the role-playing game Temple of Elemental Evil, and the stuff's going on. So I stole all kinds of stuff from this to help flesh out Hamlet, the moat house and the temple and all that kind of stuff, and how things connect together, and backstories and side quests and all kinds of stuff is really kind of interesting. But I didn't have time to wrap my brain around it all and pulling it together. So I'm flipping through all my documents on my computer, going, what am I going to do? But Grant wanted to play. He said, "Yeah, I'm in. Come on. I've never done Temple of Elemental Evil. This would be cool." So he came on over and he rolled up a couple. I had him roll up 2 characters each. Now, Aiden had actually rolled up 4 characters on some app he has on his phone because he was planning on doing this solo whether anybody else wanted to play. And so he's playing a Dragonborn fighter and a High Elf warlock. Now, Grant came over and he rolled up a couple of characters, both dwarves, the mountain dwarves, they're brothers. And they've been hired on as protection for this High Elf and his Dragonborn companion. He's got his Dragonborn companion due to some kind of, what's it called, connections. His family, the Warlock's family, has connections with this other family where they've been providing, historically, support to the Warlock's family. And something happened. I didn't get the whole backstory because he'll start rattling off. But they ended up sending this Dragonborn to be his personal protection kind of thing. So we got connections between between the High Elf Warlock and the Dragonborn warrior. Got connections there. We got connections between the 2 dwarf brothers, but we didn't have a connection between the dwarves and the elf and Dragonborn. So we were talking this through, and we decided that these 2 guys were hired on to be protection for him because the High Elf, his village had contact with a druid circle, which is associated with them, some form or fashion. That this druid they have, who's stationed in this village called Hamlet, north of where they are, has stopped sending them reports of things that are going on, and so they want to find what's going on. And so they've asked this village of elves, or it's probably not a village since they're high elves, it's probably a tower, some kind of city kind of thing, to go and investigate and find out what's going on for them. And so the village said, "Okay, you're going. Grab your buddies, find some help, go check out what's going on." So they hire on these mountain dwarf guys. So I'm sure there's a mountain near this forest somewhere, and there's commerce and communication, that kind of thing. So I had no real issues, although there wasn't a whole lot of dialogue developed to bring it together. But we brought them together. So heading north to Hamlet. I get to Hamlet, it's actually late. So they go inside. The two dwarves are asking what's going on. There's some locals were there drinking. There is a dwarf there, a hill dwarf, who is there playing some kind of card game. They're gambling. The high elf and the dragonborn. The dragonborn's pretty quiet. He hasn't really said a whole lot, but everybody's staying back from him because dragonborns are different. They're huge. You don't know what they're like. You don't know what they're doing. There's a little prejudice there. More people are scared of them than anything else. So the high elf goes to the barkeep Gundigan and says, "Hey, we're looking for this fellow, Jeru Ashtaff." "Oh, he's a druid. Yeah, his place is right across the road there." And he's doing some chatting and stuff. And the two dwarves sit down at the table, asking to join the game. They buy a round of drinks for everybody, so they start playing. And Grant's a real good role player. He really got into it. This is what I want to do, and this is how I'm making it happen. He's buying drinks, trying to get everybody tipsy. His two characters, I forgot to talk about that. One is a rogue, the other is a ranger. And the rogue was a criminal background. The ranger was something else, not so good background. Well, the rogue has the skill, what's it called? Tool use skill for card playing, and he's got a set of marked cards, and he starts using it, and of course he wins a couple of rounds. But the dwarf character is an actual NPC in the campaign who has a set of marked cards, and he's a gambler, and he's got a certain percentage of always winning. And so there's a double percentage. There's actually 3 percentage rolls running. There's the percentage roll of the two dwarf PCs and how much they either lose or how much they lose if they lose. And then there's the table, their chance of winning and how much they will lose. And then there's the dwarf with his marked cards. But these aren't his marked cards. So he's not playing, he's playing okay. I mean, he's a gambler, right? So there's some winning and losing going on. And the dwarves get a little low on their gold. And so they just start folding hands. And they start noticing that the dwarf had progressively through the evening been winning more and more. And so they started folding and started watching, saying, "Oh, we're watching this guy again." And the dwarf plays with marked cards too, and he figured out that these were marked cards. And so as he was playing, he started playing off the marked cards, started winning. And he is a thief kind of thing, his NPC. And the rogue PC starts talking and mentions something that thieves can't, just in general conversation. And I make some rolls because I don't know if this guy's really, but he's pretty friendly with these dwarves. And one thing, they're dwarves, I kind of think is a motivation. But he's friendly with them, and he'll comment back and make some kind of side comment, and thieves can't. So they made this communication that they're all thieves, or these two of these are thieves. And hey, this guy, shoot, I forgot his name, but he's looking for a job. I mean, there's lots of adventure happening in town. There's there's a handful of NPCs who are looking for employment and or looking for help. The next day, Sputnik, I remember his name, Sputnik. He is actually a tiefling warlock. I do run Prentice World. It's just the way I am. It is human centric. Half elves are okay. Elves, they're high and snooty. You kind of keep back, but they're okay. Half orcs, wild and out of control. Plus, they're big and tough. They're not liked at all. Tieflings, they're sons of the devil. Well, this particular tiefling has the warlock capability, I forgot what it's called, of covering up his visage, making him look like something else. So he appears as a normal human, and he plays being just an apprentice magic user. He was sent to town by his master. He's looking for a set of scrolls that are supposedly hidden in a hidden, cairn's not the right word, burial place up at Emery Mills, which is north of here. And they're sitting down to breakfast. Something happens. There's some interaction. People are talking, and he mentions that he's looking for folks to help him out. And they said, yeah, we'll help you out. We got something to take care of this morning, but we'll take off that right after that. So he sat and had breakfast. They'll head over to the Druids. They, enter the grove, look around. They walk up to the house. When they walk to the house, the bear comes out. He's growling. You are strangers. You don't belong to this town. I can tell because he's sniffing around, right? Well, the Dragonborn, he makes an intimidation roll, and he made it. He did a roll, and I did a counter roll, I guess is the way to put it. It'd be an opposed roll for the bear, and the bear lost. But an aggressive action was made. The bear made he stood on his hind legs, growled, but then he dropped down and backed up, growling. And at that point, all this noise that brought Jeruash's staff out, which in this version is a half elf. He opens the door, comes walking out. Can I help you, fellas? And they're kind of all staring at each other. So he looks at the high elf, says, "You come here." And then this little talking goes, "Hey, we were sent to find out what's going on. You're missing on your reports." He goes, "Yeah, I know. I've been investigating these banditry things that have been happening on the roads recently. It's been a huge increase, and I've been too tied up to doing that. If you guys can go investigate that for me, I'd really appreciate it. And I'll mention it in my reports." And so they said, "Great." Because these guys, well, my son enjoys being railroaded. he grew up playing these, online RPG games where you gather up all the little different tasks and you go and you take care of them all at once, kind of thing, and drives me nuts. But he'll bite off on it. Okay, we've got a task, good to go. We go back and we meet Spornrig at the end of the Welcome Wench, and we go on that hook, and off they go up to Emery Mill, and it's just a real small thing. You've got a couple of not blights because of wood creatures, but there's similar smoky elemental things. One's smoky, the other's dusty. Minutes maybe, or something like that. Well, anyway, there's two of those in the entryway. It's a real simple thing, right? There's an entryway, and then there's the main chamber. And in the main chamber are two cultists with a cult fanatic. And so I'm setting things up, and things are happening. Another weakness I have as a game master is that I don't study out my creatures well enough to maximize their abilities. And a creature is intelligent. The monsters know what they're doing. Google it. A guy's got a site. It's called Monsters Know What They're Doing. It's great. And because my PC7 tends to just run through my campaigns. And again, we've got 6 characters now. It's designed for 4, so I should have beefed it up anyway. Lessons learned. Next time it'll be different. And I've already got plans for when they hit the moat house on changes I'm going to be making. So, because the Mephlets, they should have just cast that sleep. Yeah, the high elf would have made it, but anybody with lesser hit points, 5d8, they would have taken a couple of them out right then and there. But I had one got hit by an Eldritch Blast, so that was the high elf. Cycled on him, ran through. There were a couple of, he runs by me, I get a chance to attack, that kind of thing happens. And they destroy it. It does this explosion. DC is 10. Who's going to miss a DC 10? Now, if you think of it in general, that's 50%. So, maybe half of them miss it. But, these are PCs. Their stats are high enough. They've got bonuses. So, none of them, I take it back. No, on this one. None of them missed it. No, that's not right. One of them did. Somebody missed their saving throw. So, he's blinded from all the dust when it exploded. That kind of thing. And they attack the other one. They kill it. There's another explosion. Another one gets blinded. So, they kind of wait for a minute for all the dust to settle, clear their eyes out. All that kind of stuff. No longer blinded. And they check the door. And Fernuk, that's the dwarf's name. He sneaks up and he checks the door. Yeah, no traps. Of course, he missed his roll, but he's not going to tell them that. And he doesn't really know either. He doesn't see any. And it's not really locked because, there are people inside and, they've been going in and out, that kind of thing. So they pop it open. Well, when they pop it open, I draw the other room. I draw the coffin in the middle. Because the scroll of the spells the guy's looking for is in the coffin with whoever was buried here. The fanatic is behind. I got 2 priests up front. I should have had 4 priests up front at least, if not 6, because of this whole mechanic built in with what's it called? Starts with a C. Shoot, it has to do with the number of attacks that you have available to you on your side. 3 against 6. The 6 are going to win. Unless there's something really, really special about the 3. Well, Warlock casts another Eldritch Blast. The at the Fanatic. Fanatic does his hold person on him, but he makes a saving throw. That's another thing I didn't like about the D&D. You get make saving throws every single round. They're going to eventually make it, if not, every round. It's just some of the things about 5th edition I really don't like. So anyway, the magic user made his thing. The cults are fanatical. They engage creatures. Creatures are moving in. There's some fighting. One gets killed right away. They all move up onto the Fanatic. He doesn't get a chance to throw any more spells. I was thinking that his bonus, because bonus actions are done on your turn. I don't know if he would have thought they would have come through that quickly. Maybe, and so he could have thrown up his he's got some kind of not the shield spell, which one it's a reaction. There's a bonus action shield of the faithful. Shield of faithful, which gives him +2 to his armor class, which realistically he probably should have thrown up. And if he would have planned ahead, and they heard the fight going on, they knew something was coming up, so he probably would have thought ahead and had it up already. Now that I think about it, I didn't think about it at the time, but now that I think about it, he would have had it up already. A lot of defensive stuff already. And then he was going to cast Spiritual Hammer so he could pound on some of these guys and who were fighting his cultists. And of course, one got killed really quick. He got killed really quick because everybody swarmed on him, and they all attacked before he got a chance to even go. Conservation of attacks. The mechanic in 5th edition that can totally wipe things out. You've got to multiply your NPCs. Excuse me. So and then they turn on the last guy and they kill him. That one hit point left anyway because he'd been fighting somebody else already. So pretty quick thing. Spugnoid gets in there and he opens up the casket. I'm thinking these guys just moved through this encounter. It was nothing to them. We need to have something. And these are all first level characters, all of them. Now, a few of them, we're talking about 2 dwarves and a dragonborn. And my son put high points into his constitutions, so they had some decent hit points. And I've got a sheet that's got all the monsters by creature rating, or whatever it's called, the CR. So I looked really quick in the Dungeon Master's Guide. I've got to have something in here to be a challenge to these guys, right? So I looked through the Dungeon Master's Guide really quick, and I'm looking for an undead, but I'm not sure what the CR rating should be. So I'm looking at the whole calculating CR kind of stuff, and I put it somewhere between medium and extreme, but not quite, or medium and hard. I don't want to be hard. I want in between kind of thing. And I came up. One thing I forgot to factor into is the number of PCs. You talk about you get their level and the hardness, and you get these things you modify together. But if you've got 6 PCs down the bottom of that page, it's got a thing for the monsters. If you've got more than one monster, it increases their CR rating. Well, I'm essentially doing what's the CR rating of this party? Because that's the CR rating of the creature that needs to be fighting them. And I forgot to multiply by that factor that comes involved when you've got 6 opponents. But I came up with a CR2, and there's an undead called a Ghast. That's a CR2. And I go, great, this is perfect. So I'm looking through the monster manual, and in the front, Ghast is not listed. The reason I'm assuming it's not listed is because it's a type of ghoul. Now, luckily, my buddy Grant, he knows not a lot. He knows a lot about 5th edition because he's our GM for my other session that I play in. He's our GM, and he's actually got a not Twitch channel. He is working with Encounter Roleplay on Twitch. He's doing a Brave New Worlds campaign. He developed. He's got a couple of videos on his whole play testing and development process and stuff. It's pretty cool. Check it out. That stuff's all on Twitch though. But he's looking on an app he's got, and he goes, "Yeah, it's a Ghast right here. I can tell you all about it." And then he's mixed up in a ghoul. And so I looked up ghoul, and sure enough, there it was right next to Ghast. Because if you're going through the Player's Handbook, GHA, it's before Ghost, right? It goes from Jinn to Ghost. But I found ghoul, and sure enough, on the same page as Ghast. So I pulled this Ghast out. I just used I modified it. I just took it right out of the thing and made it happen. But they pretty much blew through it too because it rolled low initiative and didn't get to attack. So you got 2, 3, 4 attacks onto it. It had 34 hit points, but some of these guys do some massive damage. And one of the dwarves has a great club. The dragonborn's got a battle axe or a great axe. He might have a great axe. Plus he's got huge strength. He's got a strength of 20. He rolled an 18. He gets a +2. It's massive. So they took out the ghost gas into time. So roll some random treasure. They get some change. They get some gems, and then of course there's the scroll case, which Spooneye grabs, tucks away, and he's got a scroll case. He stuffs it all in there. It's not gonna let anybody know what kind of spells he's getting from this place because he's a warlock. They're warlock spells. He's a journeyman for another warlock, that kind of thing. And he's hiding all that. He's pretending to be a first level magic user. Wizard, yeah, first level wizard, So it got to be like 10:30 at that point. Okay, that's late enough. We played enough. We did some role playing. We got some combat in. Everybody had a good time. It was a decent session. Things I learned. I have got to overcompensate for the PCs, and I've already got plans to do that. I need to be quicker on making modifications. I need to know more about the game. I really do. When we first started playing, I dug through the player's handbook, so I was a pretty decent player. I knew most, if not all, of the rules about playing. I think I'm pretty good at it still. And I've done some stuff because running Prince of the Apocalypse, I want to be a good GM, so I run through the Dungeon Master's Guide on this whole stuff and do that kind of thing. Do I rely on tables too much? I do. Do I rely too much on prepared stuff? Yeah, I do. But I take prepared stuff and I modify it. I obviously did not modify that enough. I didn't want to put 2 fanatics involved. Could I have boosted one up to something else? Possibly. Or thrown some more spells for him? Possibly. Or boosted his hit points a lot? I could have. But it was late, and it was our final battle, and I wanted to get over because I already wasted way too much time. Well, not at that point. It was after that point I wasted too much time getting that ghast ready. Again, I do run a sandboxy kind of world, so it is hard to prepare for all eventualities. And I don't know enough about the monsters to play them properly. Because those dust minutes, or whatever they were, there was a smoke and a dust. They should have, both of them cast sleep first. That would have taken out almost all the party. And they go and swipe on the high elf and anybody else who made their saving throws, that kind of thing. So, and if that's the case, the players are asleep and they kill the minutes off, and the guys in the back may have heard they could prepare more. Maybe they came in and attacked in the little teeny hallway. Another thing I did, and I took a picture of this, so I won't link to this. I've got a Twitch channel, Brian1187, and I'll retweet that. So if you look me up on Twitter, you'll see pictures of some of our games and stuff. And I use a hex grid. I do. I'm a very tactical kind of player. But I found that 5-foot hexes. Well, first off, I found that maps in D&D are way too big. So I cut them all in half. They're not 10-foot hexes, 10-foot squares. They're 5-foot squares. But I'm using 5-foot hexes, right? Because we use hexes. So, and I allow a lot of looseness on rules on stuff. You can move through hexes and stuff like that. It's 5 feet. There's plenty of room to move through. This is your sphere of influence, right? You can deal with meter hexes, which I use with Fancy Trip, and I use with RuneQuest. It's a little tighter. I mean, 3 feet, you're taking up a lot of that space, so it's hard to get around and by people, that kind of thing. So using 5-foot hexes, you get a lot more flexibility and stuff. So I didn't mind it, but I've with this because my experiment thing. I experimented with hit points earlier, but it got things completely out of control. And I experimented with previous experience. And that technically could have gotten way out of control. I haven't played with it yet. It was just something I was, messing with my notes. But I've moved to meter hexes. So a 5-foot corridor which is pretty wide, is now 2 hexes wide. So there's lots of room for the minis and doing that kind of stuff. I thought it was pretty cool, and it worked out well last night. So I'm not going to play. We're going to continue to play with that. And I may move that to my Princess of Apocalypse campaign as well, because that's where I've run into the problem with movement stuff. We were in a fight the other day, and a teeny court, and it wasn't teeny court, it was 20 feet long. Yeah, four squares long, 3 or 4 square long, and a square wide. So it probably should have actually been 10 feet wide because it was an entry corridor. It's big, that kind of thing. So maybe I can remodify that kind of stuff. But anyway, I digress. The Temple of Elemental Evil, dealing with Hamlet and stuff like that, multiple versions of editions of stuff has been pretty cool. Combining these things together, getting all the side quests, putting some life into it. Really liked it. Picking up stuff from the computer game was a lot of fun. Pulling that kind of stuff out and it gives the town a lot of flavor. And if you ever do something like that, I recommend doing that. So anyway, good session 1. They got a task. They did some fighting, combat, took care of somebody else's issues, and they've got all together in town. Good session overall. Good gaming.